Hi, Harsha. Harsha, can you hear me? Say yes.
Yes. Good morning. Sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to hear yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we will get started in 2 minutes. We are
Yes.
live on LinkedIn. So
Uh,
that's the good news. After so much trying, we made it possible. So thanks to Harsha for all your help. I think we got.
Actually, I was a little bit ashamed that day because I wasn't really picking up on the all that
Yeah,
configurations and
okay,
thing.
I
I
think we
was.
will get started in 2 minutes. We are
Yes.
live on LinkedIn. So that's the good news. After so much trying, we made it possible. So thanks to Harsha for all your help. I think we got.
Actually, I was a little bit ashamed that day because I wasn't really picking up on the all that
Yeah,
configurations and
okay,
thing.
I
I
think we
was.
will get started in I think the stream going on. So
Uh,
I just after so much trying, we made it possible. So thanks to Harsha for all your help. Stream going, just mute it. The button will be on your right. Yeah, I think we are good to go. 1 minute more and we will get started. Welcome everybody. There are 13 people or so on LinkedIn, 19 now, and more are joining. We have around 20 now, and we will get started in a minute. So thank you for joining, first of all. And today we have an action-packed series. We are working on this for a while now. So what I think the biggest challenge we have seen is that when you go, you are interviewing or you're starting a new product, or even you're trying to see like it's just evaluating somebody else AI product, you need to see, is it useful for you or not? And that comes like, how will you evaluate a Gen AI product? Earlier it was pretty simple, right? You just took and said, hey, I take this model, it does this job, and how accurately can it do this job was your rubric. But that has changed a lot with Gen AI because most of the things we try to solve is subjective now. So instead of telling you whether cat and dog is in the car, we try to write a summary of a large 600-page document into a one page. And now, how will you say this summary contains all the things that are relevant without some human reading it or human expert reading it and telling you that it has all the things which are actually accurate, which are factful, which represent the quality ingredients in your 600-page stuff, and are actually not has some harmful or other bad content in it. So that was the problem statement that we were iterating for a while. And today we're going to start from the same problem and see how can you bring ROI as a product manager to every product you build, and also if you're evaluating product for your company. With that, let me admit all these amazing people who are on coming on Zoom. Kalpan is here. Hi, Kalpan. Neeraj is here. Hi, Shomik. And we'll get started in a minute. Uh, uh, Harsha, can you admit people on Zoom today, or that's not working for you?
I'm not getting any notifications.
Okay. I will continue doing that for some time. Hi, Priyanka. Long time.
Hi, Mahesh. Good morning.
Good morning. I was just summarizing what we have done. Let me share my screen and get started. I can hear you all. We can broadcast things today. So I think this is an amazing, amazing progress from where we started and where we came. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to, let me just keep admitting people. Somehow people are auto admitted. So if you can come on your camera, that would be awesome. I love talking to people on camera rather than just talking to myself. Obviously, I'm good at talking to myself. I can keep talking to myself for ages, but if I can talk to you, that would be much more awesome. So today is our fourth session, and we are continuing our journey on how to evaluate large language models and how can you bring return on investment for your company. Either you are building the product or you are evaluating the product. In all those cases, We will see how can you continue to bring this value, or how, what rubrics can you use to see if this is a good product or this is a good product. And we will look at like, first look at like human evaluation, and then see how can you set up auto evaluations, and what is available and how they work actually. So you, once you know how they work, you know their limitations, and then you will set up, you will not come up with only one way, you will come up with many ways to solve this problem. And hopefully you will come up with some kind of ensemble or combination of these to actually apply in your products. So that's the goal today. With that goal, let's get started. What is top of mind for me? Couple of things. I think one is the Slack channel. So we started a Slack channel for the community. This is, we are trying to bring this community together at a forum. If you are not on that Slack channel, contact Harsha. Harsha is in this call. He's also following LinkedIn. Harsha, please paste your LinkedIn URL, or maybe some way people can contact you, or just DM me, and we are happy to add you to that Slack channel. What is going on that Slack channel? One way is that I try to post whatever I think is right, or you need to learn, and then people are trying to talk discussions on the problem that they are trying to solve. We post open jobs, and if sometimes we can get introductions to the employers, that's what we are doing in that channel. So if you're not on that, please come on that. If you are on that, please say hi today so we know how many we have, and we start doing few things with the mass that we are looking for. So with that, that's one thing top of the mind, or logistics. Another thing that is, I am thinking of opening a pro bono internship with AI startups. Most of the people, the challenge I've seen is that, yes, you learn all this good stuff, you do courses, you join this community, but you never get a chance to apply these or see the real challenges of a real product. For that, we are opening this AI internship opportunity with AI startups. There's no form here. The form is, I will post the form on our Slack channel. So I think join our Slack channel, and or DM me if you don't get it. Uh, Next time we will discuss these. Today we're going to skip this session so that we can complete the idea of uh, evaluation and ROI. But we'll discuss Anthropic release new models. So they were amazing for me when I was looking like what's top of mind. Anthropic models, and actually instead of one, they released three different kind of models. So let's discuss that. That how these large companies are actually getting into different kind of versions and what problem they are facing on ground, so that one model cannot solve. So that's the other one that we will discuss. uh, then there's this idea of, can a model actually validate before saying? So you stop, think, and then answer questions. So we have chain of thought that people are using so far, which is this idea that you can ask model to think or have a chain of thought to come up with better answers. But there was this new way that, or a paper I was reading, which was telling model to stop, think, evaluate before you answer. So that is something cool I want to discuss. And I'm reading this Copilot impact story. Swati, who is in this call, say hi to everyone. Swati, maybe just on chat. But she and me are talking about like how to evaluate. She works at Microsoft, and we came across this study of Copilot impact, and I'm reading that. So next week, maybe me and Swati will do a Q&A or share our learnings on how enterprises are actually doing the impact of these GenAI based products. Copilot, we can look at Copilot, and I can bring some other examples. So that's top of mind. That's going on in my life. Any questions before I move on? Hi to see. Hi, Anushil. Finally, you got here. I know it takes a lot here, right? It takes, that's the whole idea. The barriers to entry are high, but good to see you. Thank you for joining again.
What do you think of Devon AI?
Yeah, that I think is another cool idea, right? Finally, first you start like saying this is possible, then you impersonate them, and once you impersonate them, you see a lot of like attention to these. And let's discuss that more. Like, what are, like, with our framework that we have said, and what is actually the tech here? What are we? What are the possibilities or use cases? What are the challenges, and what are the limitation of that? Happy to do the case study. We did a case study on Sora. with the framework we use. So happy to do that. Can you hear me now? Again, say hi.
I,
Yes.
I can hear you.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's automatically somehow switches me to some other audio in between. Last time they did the trick, but this time we figured out how to get past that trick. So happy that we did that, so that I need not to go back and rejoin. So let's get started, right? So first thing we're gonna do is let's just get into slideshow mode, so I know we can. Top of mind, I think we covered those. So let's talk next. Yeah. So I think when you become a product manager, or if even if you're trying to pitch your company, what you are asked to do is like three things: explain what your product does, how it solves the problem, and how it adds value. Value, we were discussing that today we are not saying most of the AI products are not automating everything or automating end to end. They are basically taking the key metrics of the business and trying to say, we make you more efficient. Gen AI makes your agents more efficient to do the job they are doing. Like the sales agent can do more sales, support can do more support, marketing can actually go and get more leads, and inside you can be the back office of your business can be more efficient. So take your core metrics and we will make sure that you can deliver on that metrics faster and with less money. So these are like you are asked to do is like define that. And if that's your cool stuff, how will you measure the impact of that Gen AI? Again, right? This is like efficiency game. And let's take an example of this. We were iterating on this idea that you all can see my screen, right? So let's take the legal example because I iterate in that field a lot. So let's take this example. This is the company, and let me just log out to show you what it does. So basically, what it does is today, for a law firm, if they hire lawyers, or in your company, if you have a lot of contracts, you are hiring a lawyer or a law firm to process those contracts. Read what's in there in those contracts, like who the contract is between, what is the value, what are the net terms, when are you supposed to get paid, what, who can sue you, what if somebody sues you, do you have indemnification clauses, which is that the other party will indemnify you because you're using their product eventually behind the scenes, like Zoom in this case for us. And all the 100 things that are in contract. So you hire a lawyer to extract those things for you. And let's say the lawyer today takes 4 hours, and let's say you have 100 of those lawyers, and you are saying, actually, AI can get you the first draft, reading the contract and getting you these key terms. So that's the idea. So basically, what it does is extract the key legal terms. You can manage all your contracts at one place. Especially startups have that problem, which is that they can't manage all their contracts. Their contracts are in this drive, some guy's laptop, some box folder, or DocuSign, right? So this allows them to manage. But let's say the AI offering is that you can actually process the contract and get these all the key legal terms out in minutes, and maybe pay like $5, $10 subscription or per token basis. So are we following the same use case? Let's say that's our use case. Same page. Say yes.
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 Oh,
Yes.
great. So now we know that that's our use case. So once we have our use case nailed down, what are the challenges that you might face? What are the problems? So what you are doing is you're taking a contract and you are trying to extract key legal terms out of that contract. Let's say 16 terms. What are the challenges if somebody says, "Hey, show me your impact. How are you making the impact?" I gave you the quick starter. Anybody? Should I call names?
But what do we know about how the whichever model that you're trying to use is going to define what the keywords are? Is it
Yeah. So
an amount of times it kind of repeats itself or context? How are we
yeah,
defining?
that's your job, right? So the problem, the business has given you the problem. We have a contract. This is how a human evaluates, extract these terms. We think AI can solve this problem. We will give the same contract to AI. And now AI is supposed to give it. And how it works is basically how people try to solve it today is that they go and say, uh, ask AI the same question, like, hey, what is the net term in this contract? And AI is pretty smart these days, so it can go and tell you what's in there. And then you might give some examples that if this is the question, this is the answer. We call it few shot learning. And then if you give it few shots or few examples, then if you ask the same question, like in this contract, what is the name of the party, it gives you that answer. So that's how it works broadly. But your job is like exactly what you're asking, Shashidhar, is like, how will you solve this? Like, what are the challenges in showing, am I doing it accurately? Is this model actually working? Priyanka, go ahead.
So, Mahesh, when we are talking about challenges, can we take a step back and sort of think about the initial challenges? So, my question is related to the contracts itself, and kind of curious to know what you think about this. Like getting all these contracts in a same format to feed to a model, is that even a challenge? And because when we talk about a lot of contracts, all these old companies have like legacy contracts, so some might be just scanned, signed with like hand, or they have like physical contracts, some are in DocuSign. So that isn't that a challenge in terms of like just getting started? I'm not talking about the further steps. I'm sure there are other challenges as well, but just curious about this.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it's a good challenge to note down. We should note them down on our board. So one is like, what is the inputs formats, right? So what Priyanka is saying is standardize the input format, or you have to figure out what your AI can process. Can your process take PDF documents only? Can it take PDF with images in it? Some people might have just taken screenshots of everything they have written on paper and then paste it in a PDF, and then they're trying to analyze it through your system. Does that even a use case for you? And if not, how will you know it? So
Yeah, I mean, when I used to work in one of the procurement divisions, where we had to fax it to somebody, somebody would sign it and then fax it back. So
correct.
there are like
Yeah, that's the
all
copy you
sort of
have.
like
That's the
formats.
copy you have.
Yeah,
You want to use that copy. Basically, it's an image of an image eventually, right? Because fax was
exactly.
an image and then you took a photo picture of it. And sounds like a PDF format, but it's not really a PDF format. One challenge that you might have in wrong inputs, but I'm trying to look at like the output side. Let's say your inputs are challenges. Let's say you solve all that. You say we are only going to process PDF only and it has to be in this format. But how will you evaluate that you are taking a document and you are coming up with these entities output? You are asked to say what is it quality, or is it even working? Does it work? How will you measure, or how will you show progress on this? I hope you can see my
So,
board.
accuracy, right? Like if let's say if I'm the customer using this particular product, I'm trying to test it out, I'll probably go ask a few questions to it, like, hey, give me the net terms, give me indemnification clause or something like that. And then I would do it probably manually as well and see and try and match as like a
Perfect.
pilot
You do it
program or something like
manually,
that.
you come up with some kind of metrics and you publish it. And then how will you measure it after you have published it? Because it's subjective, right? That's the first one. So okay, you think that the indemnification answer is correct, but here is a lawyer who says, oh, I needed it in the bullet format and I just need it in 3 ways. And for Priyanka it is good, but this lawyer is a qualified lawyer. He says, no, 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 this is absolutely wrong, because indemnification clause, this is not even suitable for California law. He knows that. So it's a subjective answer. I think that's the first challenge. You guys did very well. Let's go to the next one. Context understanding and coherence. I know, Harsha, you want to chime in. Go ahead.
So this is to help me understand. In this contracts analysis use case, do we actually have a trade-off between accuracy and turnaround time? So
let's say we don't have that. Let's say we don't have it. Let's say the human takes like 4 hours. So if you can do better than 4 hours, you are good to go.
With a certain level of given accuracy,
correct. So
equal to
accuracy is
or
your
above
core
a
tenant
human.
here.
Okay.
Accuracy is your core tenant. So you are evaluating with accuracy. Obviously, nobody has said that if you do it faster, we will not take it. Everybody loves faster deliveries from Amazon. But in this case, you can even do it overnight because the contract got signed already, right? You're not on the critical path for the company. The contract got signed. You need to monetize it. You want to take at least not more than a day. But if you take a day and if you don't have a lot of scale, let's say it's a good point. One aspect is quality, another is speed. And let's say we are looking at quality first. So the other challenge we have is this whole idea that the context that the user gives, which is what Priyanka was talking earlier, that I will go and ask the question. Now your question will be very different. Priyanka will ask this question like, hey, what are the indemnification clauses in this contract? And while a lawyer might ask a question which is, how do I indemnify? Will I get indemnified? Or somebody just say indemnify. Or somebody might say, hey, if somebody sues me, can I actually go after the company which doesn't even use the word indemnify? So much context people can come with and ask this question, and you want to be right if you are signing up to give this answer. So what is the right context for you if you're going to open this chatbot? Or if you send it to your customers and they are evaluating and they are asking all the questions in their own format language and they are saying it doesn't work, you can't come and say, oh, actually it works if you ask the question this way. If you cannot set the context on Q&A kind of questions. You're very, very wide open that way. So that's the other challenge. It's not an API call like we used to have in machine learning world. So in machine learning world, you send it like a text and you said sentiment analysis. What it does, it takes a sentence and it gives you positive, negative, neutral, right? So there's no context problem. And every text, you're done. But in Q&A, you're a little bit wide open and you're open to this idea that how your user is going to interact and what kind of things he's going to ask. So that's the second challenge you will run into. I know some people want to chime in after this.
I do
What
have a
about
question
understanding?
here.
Go ahead.
So, if you're talking from product perspective, let's say we're creating an MVP for this GenAI product, right? A use case. Can we just like at the top of every chat, we could say like, okay, these are the type of questions we could answer. So these are the questions you could probably ask to just make it standardized and just evaluate. It would help us evaluate the metrics much better.
Yeah, I think that's a
Is
good
that
point.
something? Would that be limiting?
No, yeah, that's what it means. It would be limiting, but if you are looking for highest accuracy here, then maybe that's how you want to solve it. So we have speed accuracy so far. Harsha, you wanted to go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, Harsha, I cut you back.
If I may be allowed, I would like to offer an alternative thought. Now, most contracts follow a standard format, right? So if you're having a contract in, let's say, a real estate transaction or a real estate sale, they are more or less the same format and more or less a well understood thing. So my question is, the accuracy part is somewhat addressed by itself because of the source data formatting itself. So
yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah, let's continue.
So what is the real pain point here? I mean,
the real pain point is you're asked to value the accuracy of this system, how accurately it retrieves the values from contract to those 16, how many times it is accurate. One way to solve it is, yes, a human will look at it, right? But how many humans you have to look at it? If humans have to look and validate each and every term, they will say, what is the value prop of this? If I need a lawyer to come and check all your 16 terms for accuracy and match them, then my lawyer knows these contracts, dude. He can extract these values.
Yeah.
So the value prop is being challenged.
The
It is
cost
an ROI.
of goods will be so high. Costs
Correct.
will be so high
But
because you need like actual human
see,
being.
if you are to evaluate this with an experienced contract person, knows to go and look at the contract right away, where to go look, what to look for,
Yeah.
even reconcile any discrepancies. So I'm just trying to put it in the context of the LLMs. And second thing is, would this be designed to be augment a person, or would this be designed to replace a contract expert person?
So what it is designed to do is
Copilot, right?
a contract. It's a co-pilot experience. It gives you make them efficient. That's the idea. But you cannot claim that the efficiency means that you have to go and check everything. Right? So there now, if they are adding the terms, so you can start with Priyanka was solving. One problem we had is the context problem, like what the user will ask. And Priyanka said, I'm gonna go and redefine the questions you can ask. I will tell them. But you can tell them for few that you know what they want, but with the things that you know that what they don't want, they want at runtime, they added a new term. New term needs a new question. At that time, they will forget whatever you taught earlier. They will just come up with whatever they want. So that's the problem you have. And these are like common challenges that you will run into. And I think all of you are alluding to the right answer, which is you will have human evaluation with human expert to some degree of that, right? So that's how you start. You will have accuracy is what your tenant is. If you want to give ROI eventually boils down to efficiency, and efficiency boils down to accuracy and speed, right? And mostly I have seen is accuracy is the long pole, speed is another one. But today let's focus on accuracy, ROI through efficiency, and then we have accuracy, and then human experts, right? That's what you can do. So what you can do is you can set up this human eval, which is you take each and every query and you say, hey, is it helpful? Is it honest? Is it harmless? Right? These are the things that you will check your system on. And you can come up with the criteria, which is further follow-up questions. And then based on their answers, you can say, how much are you, if you're trying to launch it, you can build the confidence with your customers or build the confidence for your company if you're evaluating anybody else AI product to say, is it solving the specific problem? Is it not just giving you blob of data or a wall of text? It's actually contextual. It's solving the right problem with the right context, which a human will do. And is it missing key information? And you can keep writing these based on your knowledge or how will you evaluate your product. Another thing is that you know that these model hallucinate a lot. They come up with all this information that doesn't exist. So you have to go find that out. And then you need to make sure it's harmless. It's basically a responsible product. It doesn't go bad. Kalpan can take a whole session on that one day, maybe, just to teach us or show us like how doing the right things don't go right all the way, and how you can build harmless when you try to build the most harmless product. So one question that came up in last session, which I want to cover today, is how, as a product manager, you set these criteria. Either you are evaluating somebody AI product or you are setting this for your own launch. And I think Ankit asked this question last time. Anybody, how will you set these? So you have human expert
I
reviewing.
think
You come up with an HHS template. So this is like first part. This is 1.1. And here the challenge is you need to set some thresholds. How will you come up with these threshold numbers? Just
Yeah,
Mahesh.
that's actually a challenge, Mahesh. So one problem what I'm currently facing is I'm generating some threats depending on the cybersecurity incidents. And now abruptly when it is generating, so initially, so definitely we can have human in the loop and fine tune things and all.
Yeah.
But when real time,
Yeah.
if it does something wrong,
Yeah.
because it's cooking up a lot of things, the creativity is super high.
First of all, welcome to the party, Chaitali. We
Yeah.
missed you so much. I missed you so much.
Yes.
So thank
Same
you for
here.
joining us today. Uh,
Yeah.
and second of all, yes, I think that's what the challenge is, right? But
Yeah.
okay, you need to come up with some criteria before you are launching even, right? So you set up
Right.
this system, you're gonna test check some of these or a lot of these, but I came up with this 70, 80, and 2.
Mm.
What's that for you, and how are you coming up as product managers?
Okay.
Well, Mahesh, if you're, oh, sorry.
Harita, raise your hands. I think that would be fun. Let's just raise your hands. Today is a lot of discussion because that's the whole idea. Harita, go ahead.
Yeah, I think last time we talked about having a human benchmark and then comparing our machine to
Oh,
that.
so we gave a cheat sheet. Go, Harita, if you remember something.
Yeah, so to have a human benchmark, how does human do in terms of harmlessness and
Where the
helpfulness?
humans actually, if we have humans doing the same job, how accurately they will do, because you're not good. Hopefully, you are trying to not prove that you're even better than humans. The benchmark today is humans. Great. So where
Sure.
humans are. Great. Anything else?
I think I would just say from a product perspective, because I haven't even put this model into production, so I have no idea. So I'm gonna go with like a baseline guesstimate of like, let's say, 60%, or on an average, what
Yeah,
I
so
see the
let's say
industry.
first you will check. Yeah, that's a good answer, but we are
The
trying to
MVP.
solidify that guesstimate on some facts, right? So one is you can see what your human error rate is based on how honest they were, how helpful their answers were, and get that feedback. And they must be around 90-95% doing a great job, right? So that's one. Second is you can look at model benchmarking, right? What is GPT-4 best results are? If you're going to use, you can ask the vendor also, like, hey, what models are you using? And you can look at like what they have done before. Does that make sense? So what the
Yes.
model is saying, I cannot do more than 88% on Q&A. Don't set it up for 89%, right? That you're setting it up for failure. So that's another thing that you can look at. Look at what your company, somebody else has done on the similar side, and what if some system is in prod, how that system is behaving today. So that's the other one, right? To look at, which is inside your company standards for the same. If they exist, most probably this won't exist because you are setting the standard, which Priyanka was saying. Kalpan, you
But
go first,
Mahesh, what if
and
it
then
is
Priyanka.
MVP? Okay, no, my question was only that
Yeah,
what
but
if it is the
somebody else
MVP?
might have done, like your sister teams. What happens with large companies where we work, somebody has launched a GenAI product and they have set it, because this is going to go to your VP, and if you wrote 90 and they wrote 70 and they were able to explain why they wrote 70 and you put 90, you will be in problem. So see if anybody launch any GenAI product which is close, and see what they are setting up, and see if you can learn from them, because you are relying on internal tool and internal data, and when talking to them you will learn how what the challenges were. Kalpan, you go ahead.
Okay. So I think Mahesh, this is good. We start with the comps. We are literally running some comps like what are others doing in other use cases and so on. But my particular use case, I have a threshold. When I say threshold, there is a cost that they'll start becoming prohibitive, because at that point, I think my expenses on human beings and an existing model of execution will overtake, and cost of doing it manually will be still cheaper. That's my ceiling, that I cannot try to go beyond my diminishing returns line. That is, if I spend more money, I'm going to be more accurate.
Yeah.
At that point,
So you
I have
get a
to,
business, you get it from the business, and then you are looking for ROI to set these up. That's how you set the ceiling on this, and then you educate that after this, every 1% is basically 10x cost. It's not a linear equation; it's an exponential equation going
exactly,
forward. Harsha, go ahead.
exactly.
That's the last thing we will discuss on human, because as you know, you have all have cheat sheet on humans, and I want to challenge you more on auto today.
So my question is, let's say we have this LLM model in production, it's working on contracts, and you have evaluated the performance benchmarks in these three dimensions. Now, what can we do to ensure that these performance benchmarks will remain predictable and at a certain level, and not just go up and down depending on the the context and the new data? How can we engineer this solution to such a way that we can have some predictable performance?
Yeah, so I think that's little very good question, but little hard. So as you onboard new customers here, new kind of contract here, your metrics are not going to stabilize right away. Your metrics stabilization has a journey, and it will be 1 to 2 years, because right now these models, both left and right side, are iterating. Right side, you're getting more type of contracts, more type of people giving you more type of inputs. On the left hand side, your models are changing every 3 months also, and the criteria is also evolving. So yes, that's like a fluid situation right now. How I have seen we solve it is, we continuously monitor them and keep moving uh, our knobs to make sure that we are lying. And this is how we do our planning or features prioritization. If we added a key customer, and if the ROI there is not coming, then we will prioritize on sometimes accuracy or recall or precision, which we will talk next, right? So there will be few things that you can do here. Okay, so we got human, we set the launch mark, then we discussed quickly, which is like your results are not meeting these lines. Then you can use these 3 patterns, which are prompt engineering. This is the lowest hanging fruit. Everybody in your company should be trained to prompts now, and they can tweak these prompts. They can in the beginning, it's so cool that they can make the accuracy from 60 to 90%. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they said, "Oh, prompt engineering is all you need, because I can take it from 60 to 90% by tweaking prompts." So that's the first shot you take, because it's easy to work with, fast to prototype, it's intuitive. But the challenge is, once you start having multiple customers, and if you hyper focused your prompts to solving one customer, one contract type, one clause, you can go lean level actually. You can hyper focused on one company, then one contract, and then one clause. You can write prompts like that. But as you have a new customer, new contract, new clauses, these prompts become really, really hard to manage. And that's where you try to solve it with bringing that customer specific data, and use only specific data, and ground these models with your enterprise or those contracts. I need not to explain how RAG works, right? Somebody can just say it to build that confidence that we all got it. What is RAG and how it works? Chaitali, thank you. That's why I missed you, maybe. Go ahead.
So basically, it's a retrieval of the information, all the external information. So we take the external information and we create the embeddings, store them in the vector store. And then the Q&As, what we are getting, we are augmenting them with these embeddings, and then we are passing it to the LLM for generation.
Perfect. So what is RAG quickly? What Chitali is saying is, today what you do is you take your contract, you pass your prompt, which is your question, and you give it to the model. The model gives you an answer. Great. Instead of doing that, let's deroute this and say, hey, by the way, here are, let's say now you need to solve it for 10 contracts. And instead of sending all the 10 contracts, you first send this. So this is a retrieval augmented generation, that's RAG. And how it augments the retrieval is, you can put all the contracts or all your company documents here, and you send your prompt to a retrieval system, which is, she was saying, vector database. And instead of sending all these documents to model, you get only relevant sections, or you can imagine relevant documents with your prompts that will go. So instead of sending all your company information, now you have, based on the question or the question you are asking, you will only extract those pages in a contract, or only the relevant contract if you're asking a multi-contract specific question, which is which out of these contracts are expiring tomorrow, right? So in that case, you will pass only the contracts which are relevant with that tomorrow's specific context. Or if you're asking indemnification, then you will only get the pages in the contract. And if you give limited scope to the LLM and say that now base your answer on this data,
I think we lost you again, Mahesh.
We can't hear you, Mahesh.
Mahesh, we lost your audio.
He's not looking at the computer. Can't hear you.
Your audio stopped.
Where you guys lost me? Tell me now. Rag, we were giving. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
So we were just talking about RAG, and we were talking about this idea that RAG gives you relevant context. You can put all your documents in a document store. Let's call it a vector store because it has to do similarity search. Vector is nothing but a representation of a word in a matrix, which is single dimension. And once you do it, you can compare them to see how close they are, and it stores the context. And we can do a whole lesson on this. But the idea is that as your context increases, you can give only relevant information to the model rather than giving everything you have, or worst, relying on model to use its own trained data, which is trillions of pages, to give you an answer, which will be very generic and cannot be grounded. So you get the idea of external data sources. You can have a real-time impact by just adding more contracts, or giving it like relevance, or adding things, which is nothing but storing. So basically, you're not writing code, you're grounding the model with your context or your company information. That's how you will improve your system. And then we will discuss how can you do retrieval, better retrieval out of these RAG systems, because now instead of the problem has gone from the context of this contract to how good you can extract from lot of contracts the information that the model need to answer your question. And for that, we will evaluate few things also. Last, anybody want to take a shot? What's the next thing you can do to improve your model?
Fine tuning.
Awesome. You rocked it. And then you can combine all these three to make life easier, better for all your customers and meet your benchmarks, and Kalpan, to meet the threshold that your business has set up for you. So you can do all that. And then finally, hopefully you do some of this, maybe just in the beginning stage of your company, you will just do prompt engineering. In little bit enterprise concept, you start with RAG, and hopefully you fine tuning gives you results. So far in my experience, fine tuning is a long journey. So my recommendation to you folks is do not fine tune unless somebody has paid you, or you have a real business justification, or you have a solid funding. Do not try to buy GPUs for training. Get your inference right. Use RAG and prompts to at least get first 10% ROI to your customers, and then look for fine tuning. If somebody's selling you fine tuning inside your company, tell them to give them 5% ROI first of whatever promise they are making. So that's a quick tip from my experience. We'd love to see like if anybody differs. But Harsha, go ahead.
Actually, I did a small personal project of sentiment analysis of Twitter/X. I think I mentioned it last time, right? And I did fine tuning on the GPT platform. So from my experience, fine tuning seems to get the sentiment right better than the retrieval thing. But that's not my. But my actual question is, can you go back to the previous slide, please? The 3 Venn diagram.
Oh man, that's a, oh, it came up. I
Yeah.
was like, I have to click.
So I mean, in this world where we have three approaches, what kind of the generic X ops, right? So you have LLMOps, you have MLOps, but what kind of an ops do we really aim for to make sure like the retrieval on RAG is implemented with the latest and greatest data, and then the fine tuning is done with the proper parameters and then the proper data, and then the prompt engineering works well with the other two things. So I'm just trying to understand, when all these three come together in that sweet spot in the center, what kind of ops, what kind of operations do we need to do to make sure that all three work well in a smooth way, like gears in a wheel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. And I think the traditional MLOps provider are working on these. They have not stitched the story what you are looking for. Like you're looking for similar to like machine learning ops, where you had data pipelines, training pipelines, A/B testing frameworks, and then an inference pipeline with the drift detection and all. That is still like, I would say, a year behind. Expect that to be in January next year. But right now, what you are seeing is, I think all cloud providers has given you some kind of prompt ops. So they are saying like Azure has it. It's called what, prompt in something, prompt something, right? So they, what they do is, if you are prompting, you can actually version those prompts, and you can create a lot of data sets, and as you change the prompt, you can test it on everything, and you can select your metrics, and it does the comparison as you change your prompts. It keeps a copy of all your prompts, so you can retry that. If somebody sues you, you can go and try it. Similarly for RAG, a lot of people are coming out with evaluation metrics for RAG, giving you integration into all these vector stores. Or RAG is like a little bit in question these days, as models are getting higher and higher context. We are looking at 10 million context that Gemini can provide. And if you have a billion parameter or billion token context, will you really need RAG? So RAG, I've not seen a lot of ops, but people have given you like a quick way to RAG, which is drop your things on S3 bucket or Google Drive, and we will make sure that we will augment it for your model. And then for fine tuning, I'm seeing a lot of people are just reusing what they did for MLOps. So SageMaker, Azure ML, those folks, or Vertex AI, they have already have large models, and they show you end-to-end steps. How can you check each step, get your data, deploy it, check on some kind of A/B tests mechanism, and seeing like different models also that's coming soon, which was this idea of auto ML. So expect all that to stitch together and come by next week, next month, next year. And some startups are saying LLMOps. I have read their stuff, but it's basically MLOps with few things here and there of generative AI. I have not stitched an end-to-end stitch story of this is how you can easily drag and drop and build your AI pipeline. And then here how you can iterate quickly. And here is the drift matrix, which triggers another job based on the prompts your customer has sent, and then does A/B testing and automatically runs this cycle. I've not seen that yet, but happy to take anybody who has seen it. Please put it in chat. I'd love to read more on that. Chaitali, go ahead.
This LLMOps, I mean MLOps with LLMs should also have this responsible AI or Xi principles hooked in, right? It's
Yeah,
like
that's a absolutely good point. Again, that is the guardrails everybody's launching. So Azure has this responsible guardrails. I think AWS has it. Same as GCP has it. But that's like something you need to bring and stitch. But inside model they are bringing, but outside you have to make sure, because your scenario, your company specific guardrails will be different. So this half you are seeing that most people providing you this API to do those guardrails, but stitching them automatically, and they are part of your ops process. That is, I've not seen it, and it's not coming soon.
got that.
Okay, great. Let's move forward. This is the last section, and I think the most important section of all. I'm just checking, is this the last section? Yeah. After this, we'll just look at few applications. So one thing, now you want to do it at scale, right? You have humans. Somebody said you're going to remove humans, but at this point, you have hired more humans because you started launching and you needed a human expert to do this HHH evaluation. You send them all your answers, they give you results, and then only you can say I'm 70-80% somewhere close. Now you want to scale that, right? And few things that I think people are putting in production to measure the efficiency of couple of things, right? First, are we retrieving the right documents? Is the document right or not? So let's take few metrics, which are like you have read about recall precision. They look at false positive, false negative. If not, there was a session I did. Please watch it. That will give you a general idea of what a recall normally is. But today we will look at in context of Gen AI and especially document processing or Q&A. So what a recall formula would be is, if you have, let's say, 1,000 contracts, and to answer a question, you need 10 contracts, and you retrieved 20 contracts. And let's say all these 10 are there also. And then you have 11, 12, 20. I think one formula that continues to work in this new space for recall is you take this relevant documents, which in this case are 10. You take a union of what you retrieved and you divided it with whatever relevant documents you have, which is 10 in this case. So let's say you had 1,000 contracts total in your repo. You took 10 contracts are relevant to answer this query. So you have a question also from user and you need 10 contracts to answer that question, which are relevant. You retrieve 20, you got an recall of 1, which is basically 100% recall. So you are doing really great. Is there a problem here? What is the problem? Any problem with recall? If I just use recall, am I good to go? Can I say I'm doing great?
Does it depend upon which 10 or 20 you chose in the first place?
Yeah, but yes. So that's one, that it still requires human evaluation. Very good catch. That it will only be done on a golden set because you have to specify for each query what are the 10 relevant ones. There's no way to automatically get that, right?
Yep.
So that's one limitation. But that's the limitation. Let's say at least now you have a golden query set, and as you change your new RAG technique or RU prompt, on the golden query set, you can actually see what the performance is, and you can do a quick A/B test. So it moves you a little forward, but it doesn't solve it end to end. So good catch. But what about if I start retrieving 200? Will this number change? If that's the formula is on slide, right? So if I start retrieving 200, does anything changes? So a smart engineer might start retrieving all 1,000, right?
Would that have an impact on the token size then? Because now you're kind of pulling in more data.
Yeah, it will. But the idea is that you didn't solve the problem. Like your recall is coming as 100%, but you are basically retrieving 30, 40, and your quality will go bad if you give the model 40 contracts, 200 contacts, but your metrics is not catching that problem, right?
Because you're always getting 10 out of the total.
Yeah, you
number.
want to know, did you recalled all 10 or not? So it does a good job. If you only got one out of those, what you retrieved, you only got one relevant one, 10, then your recall is 10%. So it solves the problem. It's not completely a waste one. It solves a problem for you, but it doesn't solve the problem end to end. And that's where the second matrix comes, which is the precision matrix. So let's use this one. This one is cool. So it solves this problem. And the precision, what precision tells you is that, hey, if there are 10 contracts, what are the relevant documents and retrieved documents? But let's divide it with retrieved documents. So let's say now, if you did 10 was relevant, and let's say you retrieved all 1,000, you have to divide it by 1,000. And then your precision is 0.0. 10 divided by 1,000, you're looking at 0.01. Right? So your recall is 100%, but your precision is 0.01. And now we've combined these two, and that's where you get the F1 score, which you will hear a lot in your engineering circles, which people will talk about, which is basically a combination of precision and recall. And you will say, this is our F1 score we are aiming for. So first you create a golden query set, you figure out for each query what are the relevant documents, and then you start putting this in production. And you can combine precision and recall to ensure that your retrieval system is working perfectly, and it has high precision and high recall both, right? And you will see that you will be asked to sometimes say, hey guys, let's just focus on precision right now. And sometimes let's just, please guys, it's okay, give me recall, right? And you will keep switching between these two as you mature, your product mature, and the documents you are using to answer these questions, as you become more and more knowledgeable about what it takes, you will continue to play with these metrics. And sometimes you will be asked to make the call, which is, should we focus on recall or precision? and we should do a workshop on that. But I think today I want to land the idea what is recall, what is precision, and how they combine together to bring this some kind of auto eval in picture, at least on golden query set. Golden query set is nothing but some guy has already came for each question, what are the relevant documents to answer that question needed to. First Harsha and then Priyanka.
I'm sorry, this may be a dumb question, but for the
No,
legal
that's a good
contract
question from
case,
you, Harsha. Go ahead.
for the legal contracts use case, the metric should be the section in the relevant document, right? So it is actually.
So then you can, document is a loosely term here. You can think of replace it with chunks in that case. So if the document is 1,000 pages long, then you can say relevant chunks, retrieve chunks divided by relevant chunks. Chunks means like the sections you are talking about, right? So relevant. Then you have to further divide them. And if you're putting a retrieval system in place, then you already are dividing them into chunks or these subsections.
I would suggest that it should be a combination of document and chunk, because in the case of contracts, you may have different contract versions, and the different contract versions may have the similar contract terms or a changing contract terms. So I guess it should be a combination. And the second thing,
go ahead. I take that suggestion.
Second thing is, this is more of a request. I don't fully understand model drift thoroughly, how it exactly works and how it affects this recall, precision, and reference code. So if you could possibly, explain it like I'm a 5-year-old in machine learning about how it works and how it affects, how do these three actually impact each other, because they're working off the same data and the same model processing. So if you could cover the mechanics of how these three works and how I can picture it and do it, it'll be great in a future session.
That would be awesome. Yes, let's just bring these questions. Let's keep a document, Harsha, where we put all these questions, and if we have not answered, let's cover them in next one, and let's add.
I will browse the recording later and collate the questions for you to answer.
That would be awesome. Anushil and then Priyanka. Sorry, that's how it showed up. Priyanka, if you raise hand before, just excuse me. Go ahead, Anushil.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like for legal graph, in the example of legal graph, like how did you decide which metric to give more preference to between recall and precision?
Yeah, so it depends on like what stage we are on. Like initially we were only looking at recall, or the company can look at recall first. So at least you have all the contracts to answer, and then see how bad is the precision. The precision generally is not that bad in the beginning. But as you have more and more customers and you have more and more contracts, or your customers start throwing more and more contracts to you, as the base goes from 100 to 1,000 to 10,000 contracts, then you start worrying about precision. So start with recall, then go to precision, and then play between them.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, Priyanka, if you have any questions, I need to finish few more ideas, and hopefully I can take questions.
No, I don't.
after
I think you answered it.
Okay, thanks. Great. This is the best I was expecting for us. Okay, so another thing that we also have is this idea of fallout, which is you just look at how much non-relevant stuff we are putting in. So that's the other metrics I've seen people look at. So if you put these three, I think you will be good. On precision, you can look at like only top precision. You need not to look for every document precision that's got retrieved. You can look at top 5, top K precision, and people take average precision always like a metrics that when they go and try to put these systems in place. So few other metrics which are awesomely cool are BLEU and ROUGE, and how they talk about is, if you learn precision right, then let's talk about recall, ROUGE and BLEU as well. What they are looking at is, for each question and answer, you got a ground truth. You said, hey, AI, you take AI answer and you take a lawyer answer. And then you take a BLEU score. And BLEU score is nothing, but you are saying how many words in what AI answered are also in what lawyer answered. And you come up with a score. So let's say there are 100 words in total in what a lawyer answered, and AI has 10 of them. Then your BLEU score is looking at 10%. With me? These are simple to understand. There is not like real magic to it. They just throw things.
Sorry, I think I lost you. Can you repeat it? The BLEU score.
So you're looking at how many words that the response you generated from AI are in the answer that how many n-grams is just words, which is n means whatever the number, and grams is words, are in the generated text, are also in the reference text. And reference text is basically you asked a real lawyer to answer this question, that explain the indemnification clause for me, and he gave you an answer, AI gave you an answer. You're looking at how many words are here from what AI gave you to what lawyer gave you, and generating a score. Similarly, Rouge matrix goes for recall. So this is like precision of your answer compared to what is there. And if you take a recall and say how much words in the reference are captured in the generated text. So it's the other way around. Okay. And when you go for Rouge, you can also check it for, hey, do I have a sequence? Did I got one word, but am I getting like 5, 10, 20? So you're looking for a whole sentence basically. And then you can look for the largest text or blob of text there. So you can say whole paragraph actually matches. So the ROUGE-L is basically for the longest common sequence between the reference and what AI generated. And how many of those are there? And if that's the score you are getting, and if you have nothing, right? If nothing matches, these scores will be 0. If few words are matching and the longest sequence, so the answer needs, let's say 10 words, and your longest sequence matching is coming as like 10, then you are doing a great job. If it is coming at 8, n is coming at 8, and you set it to Rouge n and n to 8, then you are doing a great job as well. But if you're setting Rouge to 5 and you are getting only 20%, then you can see how bad it is. Let's take an example next time. Harsha, I will take your question a little bit later. Let me land and finish this. Other than that, there are manual metrics which you can use. So this is all like you can put them in practice in code and get these numbers based on your reference data. And also as you evaluate these, I put what task you can use them for. And same, you can do coherence, fluency, and GPT-similarity. And humans are doing these. So how coherent it is with your answer and this, and how fluent it is. And there is another one. Is it like if GPT would have done it and you are doing with some other system, let's say Llama, then how good it is compared to GPT, because Llama you're getting for free. You are going to go for GPT-similarity. Then last thing I want to land so that we can make sure we can end on time today. That was another metrics I was following, is how can we evaluate a distributed. So next time we see each other or someday we discuss this, I want to talk about some next level evaluation metrics, which are actually trying to see the probabilities of the tokens that are in your answer compared to the whole dictionary of all the words there are, and then seeing the proximity of those and coming up with a number. That's a new field. A lot of people are trying to resolve that. So we'll bring some cases and problems and show it. And see, next time we will just show you some practical use cases of where the grounding fails in this contract example, and what the score was, and how it worked, what the succinctness, where confidence fails, and then we'll discuss or apply these in practice. We will take some use cases maybe from Microsoft as well, from like the Copilot study I am reading. And your homework, next time we will see you, me and Swati will be doing this session together. Swati works as a product manager at Microsoft AI. She has a lot of experiences, or she's dealing with the same problems that I was. So I thought we'll combine our learnings and share with you, and we'll come with more examples. One quick homework piece is look at what you will set up for human eval and what percentage you will set up for that human eval sheet, and what you will set for auto eval for your own product, or take any popular product, paste in on LinkedIn. And if you do that, tag me if you want to. I'm happy to evaluate and send you private feedback. If you want public feedback, I can also write as a comment on your LinkedIn. Maybe you won't like that. So that's your homework. With that, we did it. I think we checked mark everything. We finished on time. We're able to broadcast. We're able to invite people to this Zoom call. I think how many sessions it took? 4 attempts. But thanks a lot to Harsha. Thanks a lot for everybody who has shown, Priyanka, who had shown a lot of support in making all these sessions possible. Swati for reaching out and volunteering for next session. Again, please join our Slack channel. Please show up for all the sessions that we are doing every Saturday. Use Slack in between. Do not do things in silo. I read that Slack channel and try to answer questions at least every day.
Thank you.
Harsha, I can stay back for your question. But if you want to drop, feel free to drop. I will stop transmitting as well. Harsha, just give me 1 second. And then I can stay and stream. Yes. Perfect. We did it. Yes, Harsha, go ahead.
Actually, my question was related to the homework. I was asking if you could point
Oh.
me to a dashboard-like thing, like a dashboard where it shows the different metrics displayed. It's more of a tactical thing. And then a framework to how to actually measure these and put it in. So I would like to apply this to this project that I'm doing, which is the sentiment analysis of Twitter/X pre-Musk and post-Musk, right? So I want to have that kind of,
Yeah.
So
one advice I will give you before you ask your question is, for sentiment analysis is straightforward use case. I would put a little bit complex things like summarizing the feedback, first summarizing and then taking sentiment, because you have a lot of things and you're taking sentiment, and sentiment is such a vague, it was very hard for us to do sentiment, what I was doing working at AWS. Hopefully it's not going in recording, but it is a lot like, if you look at the sentiment of this call, most of the times I was worried about maybe my voice not going through and all that, but that has nothing to do with how the session went, right? And it's like little bit abstract. GenAI has gone little bit forward. So you want to first say, I want to summarize, and then I want to do on the key summarize key facts, and then sentiment on key facts. That's basically sentiment plus plus, and you will see more challenges where you can use what we are learning here. But
okay.
Sorry, Harsha, go ahead.
Yeah, got your advice about focusing on summarization, but a tactical and a practical way to measure these metrics and display it as a dashboard. So please point me to some resources so that I can actually see it at work.
So what are you looking for? Like, you define the metrics.
Yeah, but how to measure it? I mean, how to...
Oh, so how can you put it in how to measure
how to put it in a dashboard,
ROUGE, or how to measure ROUGE or BLEU like metrics?
Yeah, precision recall. So what I'm looking for is like a dashboard. Let's say I'm a product manager or a decision maker or a solutions architect. I like to see all of these in one dashboard in one place and see how these metrics are, and then evaluate it as a whole, and decide what to do next. What's the next action to do. So each one of them tells a story.
It's a step, right? It's a 3-step process, right? So how it works in production is, first you work with your team, like engineering team. Once you define this metrics, you come up with a query set, and then they have code. So I can point you some samples which will start logging your ROUGE and BLEU metrics. Then once you have the logging, the data team comes and picks those logging, and then start showing it on a dashboard on an average, or what the timeline on this. And then you have like what kind of contract customer you can filter them. But there are 3 teams involved here, and I have not seen like anybody just say, this is my task, or this is my model, here is my prompts, here is a dashboard, let's search it, maybe there is something. But that's how we are doing, like I have seen it work.
Yeah. My question was more to see something at work so I can understand it a little better.
Yeah, so this is like 3-step process, and I think the data part is a solved problem. Like once in the log, then you can pick those log signals and create a dashboard in Power BI or whatever tool inside your company uses. But before that, like what's the code to log these metrics on a common data, that I can point. Okay. With that said, thanks all of you. I will go through the chat. I will go through the LinkedIn comments as well, and we'll try to answer them. Thanks everyone.